God bless everyone. Hope everyone is well. Hope everyone's family is doing well in this time of panic. This short video would be based on the coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever it is that they're calling it, however it is they're labeling it, because every time, every year, every few months, there's always like a new virus coming out, a new sickness. They always give it like different names, and everyone believes what media tells them, what the internet tells them about where these diseases are coming from. You know, they always say, well, it comes from an insect, from a mosquito, it comes from an animal. Now this coronavirus is coming from bats or from anteaters that supposedly are being eaten in China, and some people are calling it, oh, it's the China virus or what. So, a lot of people are saying different things about this, and that this is coming from an animal. I'm not saying it's not possible. Anything is possible, but they also spoke about the wet markets in China, and I believe in other locations. I believe like in Thailand and all these other countries, Cambodia, that have these wet markets where they sell these animals. And I'm pretty sure if you researched it, what's going on, you probably seen the videos on YouTube or wherever, where they show that they're selling animals, all different types, animals that don't even belong together, all like crunched up in these cages, all on top of each other, in very small areas where there's barely any ventilation, probably. And the animals are stressed out, the animals are panicking, and it causes, it can cause sicknesses, because what they do is they end up killing them eventually, selling them for people to eat, or they eat it themselves. But that's how they're making their money, by selling these animals. And these animals are not even like all coming from China. Like, these animals are coming from like from what I hear, from Africa, like other countries where all these cute, and there some of them are cute. Like, they have like wild cats from Africa and stuff like that, and it's sad, because people, everything's a business, and people get paid to catch the animal. People get paid to to sell the animal, and then eventually, I guess, people that like to eat these animals, which the Bible describes not to eat, eventually is digested, and then that's why they're saying that this is where this disease is coming from. I'm not saying it's not possible. What I'm saying is, like everything else that the media says, or they try to cover up, is that ultimately this virus came from a bat or from an anteater. And they show the videos of them killing the bats and stuff like that, chopping them up, whatever. People eating the anteaters in soups and stuff like that, just like they showed them eating babies also in soups. I guess they make everything with soup. But anyways, so my point is here that, you can't always believe everything that you see on TV. Everything. I don't even watch TV because it's just a waste of time. I don't like listening to the news because the news is just depressing, and there's enough, depressing things going around in our lives as it is. And I would compare this to also when, I would say, AIDS first came out. And again, people called AIDS different things. They said, oh, the AIDS came from such country, from certain individuals, or from a certain race, or that this is how AIDS came about. No, AIDS did not just come about that way. That's ridiculous. You can research it yourself. There's a lot of information that I'm definitely not going to go over this short video because I'm trying to make it short as possible. This could be easily compared, like I said, to when AIDS was first found out or reported. And it's funny because it was actually people from Europe, or they went to Puerto Rico first, and then they started injecting Puerto Ricans with AIDS, with the AIDS virus. And it's funny how they say this came from a certain country, from certain race. So how did they manage to inject this so-called virus into people in Puerto Rico? And I'm not saying the Puerto Ricans were the only ones that got injected with this. There was others from different nationalities, but this was actually factual. This is something you could research yourself. And they actually injected them, and then they started to die off. They started to feel the symptoms of AIDS. They started to get really, really sick, and they died off. And this is how they were testing them. They were testing this virus on them, using them as guinea pigs, just like they're using people now to test the new vaccine for the coronavirus. People are supposedly volunteering. That's the same thing they said when I believe it was in Germany, where they were taking women against their own will and doing tests on them by injecting them with the sperm of an ape and making them get pregnant. And they were just doing experiments. But they said they were only volunteering when they were actually forcing women to do this. There's a lot of other things that have happened around the world. There's a lot of things that has happened. Even in our own government in the United States. A lot of things. And a lot of things they think that they get away with, but we all know we don't get away with anything. Maybe in this lifetime, maybe. But we eventually we do pay for the things that we do, for the sins that we commit. And God does not like ugly. So back to the coronavirus. This is not something that's new. This is just supposedly another type of a coronavirus that always existed. And like I said, they're always trying to blame it on something or somebody. Oh, this just came about. This just came about. They can't even explain how this is coming about. They're just blaming it on something. So people can believe it because it's so much easier than to just really explain and come out and say this was created in the lab. Just like the AIDS was created in the lab. And then we're just tossing it out there so many people could get killed, and China and United States and everyone that's infected with this can die off, and this could kind of or plan to depopulate them. Talking about China, I was actually going over their numbers for the past few years, because there's also other things that maybe a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people do know, because some people are like me and some people like to just investigate and just look at some things, because people call us conspiracy theorist or whatnot, but I just like to know what's really going on. That's why I don't listen to the news, because it's just they throw out way too many ridiculous statements out there that are not true, and false stories and staged shootouts or whatever that happens. Not all of them are staged, not all of them are fake, but some are. And this is just all coming down to an end, like the Bible prophesies. And that's why all these things have to happen. It's sometimes these things are just created. It's not an accident. It just doesn't happen because a crazy person decided to kill people, or people just get diseases from animals or whatever. the case is. It's really just a plan. There's a plan, obviously, to open the road to the Antichrist to come in and play his role, and to gain control of the world with the New World Order. Obviously, people have heard of that, and just gain control with martial law and take over the world. So it says here in 2006, there was an estimated number of 20,000 organ transplants in China. And researchers say that it's actually more than 20,000, but we'll just go with 20,000. Now, it's crazy because I knew about, organ trafficking and, human trafficking and all these type of trafficking that's been going on for years. I knew they were doing it in Mexico. I knew they were doing it in United States. They're doing it really all over the world. But I just didn't know how bad it was in China. So I was going over the numbers. I was just curious and I wanted to see. And it says, when you read the article, you can actually read it yourself. It says the executed prisoners over there are the ones that they're getting all these organs from. Now that's very interesting because the numbers just do not match. These numbers do not match at all. They said that these are coming from executed prisoners, meaning they're getting these organs from people that are already dead, that die. They killed them, they were prisoners for whatever crime they committed, and they decided to kill them because maybe that's their law over there. They just kill people, give them the death penalty sentence or whatever it is that they do. So that's where they're getting their organs from, according to, this. And that was in 2006. Now, we're going to now go to the numbers of prisoners in 2006. We're going to go over the population number. And that population number comes up to 1,710,641. In 2006, we're talking about the same year where we had 20,000 organ transplants. Now we're going to go to 2008, the prison population. Again, that was 1,735,822 prisoners. Now, let's kind of do the math here a little bit. We had 20,000 organ transplants done in 2006. And this is from China. This is from the people that supposedly died and passed away. At first, 2006, we had this much. And then 2008, the population actually went up by this much. It went up by 25,000. So 25,181 prisoners. More than the year in 2006. I do not understand. How is it that we went from 1,710,641 in 2006, which is the same year that they had 20,000 organ transplants done in the same year? So if that's the case, don't you think the number would have went down instead of up? It went up 25,000. So 20,000 organs, transplants. So how do you actually add 25,181 on top of that? And get back up to 1,735,822 in 2008. Because we went from 2006 and we skipped to 2008. So in the middle, obviously, is 2007. So you're telling me in 2007, we increased that many prisoners? That's crazy. So where did the 20,000 go? That didn't affect it at all? That's impossible in 2006. So if 20,000 was not taken from the executed prisoners in 2006, where did the organs come from? Where did the 20,000 organs come from? And this is what I'm saying. They contradict themselves, but they don't care because they know no one can control what they do. Just like the government from over here, they do what they want to do. Another thing here I see is in 2003 to 2009, only 130 people volunteered, meaning they only got voluntary organ donors between those years that signed up. That's too low. 130 can't cover 20,000. That's way too low. So this is what I'm saying. They're corrupted. They're doing something that's not right. That's a lot of passing away on a yearly basis. The article also says that transplants actually happens in weeks. You come over here for a transplant, you're gonna wait for months, maybe years for a transplant. So China is the fastest, I would say waiting time in the whole, in the whole world. No one has these many transplants done on a yearly basis that fast. And you don't even have to wait that long for a transplant. The organ transplant recipients, this is another thing. Check this out. The organ transplant recipients do not even receive any identity of the organ donor, or are they provided with the evidence of written consent that the person that died, to give them their eyes, to give them their nose, their liver, whatever it is, they didn't even have a written consent. Why are they hiding so much? Why can they not, if this was, allowed, or this wasn't against the laws, why can't you guys just provide the patient with at least, some type of evidence that this person, volunteered? So that's how you know they're corrupted. They're doing something wrong. Then it also says here, sometimes even the identity of the medical staff and the surgeons may be withheld from the patient that is receiving these organs or organ. So that means the people that are in the surgery room with this patient, which is something really scary, won't even show their faces to this patient that's receiving it. So this is why they hide so much, because they don't want to be figured out. Another fact was the population, just in total of China, not just the prisoners. I'm talking about the population. In 2017, it was 1.386 billion, right? That was the total. In 2019, it went to 1,401,209,463 in 2019. And the population increased 7,230,686, which leaves us in 2020 1,408,526,449 people in China as of right now. I guess we can subtract after that, how many have passed away according to them. But as you see, their numbers keep increasing, on a yearly basis. And these are just numbers that are reported. This is probably not even the truth. This is not even the real number. And this just shows you, it's increasing with people because obviously people are multiplying, they're mating and having babies and stuff like that. This is one of the reasons why China does not want people having babies, and they're actually controlling that by limiting them. But at the same time, it's like, why do you think all of a sudden now there's a virus in China? I mean, how many viruses have we had in China? Always when we come up with a new virus, it's always like, always from what I know of, is like United States. Like, we're always the ones affected, mosquitoes, this and that. We're always getting like new viruses, new sicknesses. All of a sudden now they hit China with it. And you tell me that's not purposely done to depopulate? On top of that, they're killing and slaying people just to steal their organs. Now, talking about that, there's actually an article on a Chinese boy, about a Chinese boy. And this is so sad. Chinese boy was actually, and I'll leave the link down and below in the description. Chinese boy was playing outside in front of his home, and he was snatched up by somebody, by an trafficker. That's what they call it. Gouged out his eyes. They took out his eyes, whoever it was, and left him there. And then the boy starts crying and screaming and yelling. The parents, found the boy. He had blood all over his face. They didn't even know he didn't even have his eyes until they actually really got close to him and looked at him. And they rushed him to the hospital. And it's so sick because, who would do something like that? I didn't even know you could. I know you could gouge out someone's eye, but I just don't understand. Like, how can, anyways. And then supposedly the kidnapper reportedly told the boy, "Don't cry, and I won't gouge out your eyes," in which they did anyways. That was the whole point of snatching up the boy. So you see here how this is like getting crazy, and it is already crazy. The poor kid doesn't have his eyes anymore because somebody was getting paid to do this. Somebody's getting paid to do this. So not only they're not snatching people up and killing them, taking their organs, but they're doing this while people are alive. That's not right. This boy does not have his eyes anymore. This is evil. It's sin. And they have pictures of this boy on the bed. Oh my God, I just can't imagine, his parents, this is just crazy. They call this the black market. They sell babies and sell organs, and not only that, I didn't even get to what the United States and Europe and all these other places do around the world with children, because it's not only adults that are getting their organs stolen and sold. Not only they getting killed or prostituted or sold to being sex slaves and human trafficked and slaughtered just for people's pleasure and getting paid high money to do so, just like the movie Hostel. That's actually real, but they're also kidnapping many children, especially in the United States, for sacrifices. They kill them, because they're devil worshippers. That's what they do. They kill them to gain power. And I know a lot of celebrities even know this themselves because they had to sign, obviously, the contract with the devil. They sell their souls just to become famous, and that's why they become possessed, and they're no longer themselves. They're miserable, and they have all this money. They know what to do with it, and they do a whole bunch of crazy nonsense that is unnatural. Showing off their bodies and changing genders every single day, and it's just a whole bunch of craziness, like the Bible describes in the last days. And this is so sad. What happened to this little boy? And then also, like I said, they have this going on even in Mexico with the human trafficking, taking people's organs and stuff. This is happening everywhere. There's also another article here that says in July 2019, 44 people were arrested in a major clampdown on corruption in New Jersey. These included 5 rabbis, 3 mayors, and a number of other politicians from the New York and New Jersey areas. Of these, the most prolific offender was Rabbi Levi Ishak Rosenbaum, I guess that's how you pronounce it, who had reportedly been engaged in organ trafficking for at least a decade, despite the sale of human organs having been banned in the U.S. in 1984 with the passage of the National Organ Transplant Act. He was the first person to be convicted of this crime. And this man, obviously he's from Israel, he will offer them $10,000 for their kidneys, which he would sell back to the U.S. for up to $160,000. He referred himself as Robin Hood of kidneys. This is so sick. And this is happening. This is happening everywhere, just like with the kidnapping of children and raping them, abusing them, killing them, selling them. This is why we have so many disappearances and missing children, teenagers, and even adults in the United States alone. We're not even including Europe and all these other countries. And it's about time you guys open your eyes if you guys didn't know about these things. It's so sad, and the babies, they kill them for sacrifices. Once they're born, they steal them. Or if not, maybe if the mother and the father are possessed and they're devil worshippers themselves, they'll just have the baby and give it, offer it to Satan. These are all things you guys can research. These are all things that, the Bible describes also. And this is how you know the Bible is true and the Word of God is true. And I just wanted to, voice my opinion and let people know what's really going on out there, and not to believe these lies about new viruses that come out every year or whatever. When they lie and they say in the media that they don't have vaccines or no cure for it, yes, they do. They do. Now they're going to spend all types of money, our money, that we work hard for just to find the vaccine or a cure. It's crazy because even people know that when you're allergic to something, and it's so bad that you can't control it. You go to the doctor, they give you a shot for your allergies to try to control it, like a treatment. And what they're doing is they're actually injecting you with what is it that you're allergic to? That's what they're injecting you with. And the same thing with the flu. They're injecting you with the flu. So you're telling me they don't have vaccines for these supposedly new viruses that have been around for years, when they're the ones actually giving it out? They're the ones creating this. They're the ones creating the viruses. So they have the vaccines. They have the cure. They just keep poisoning us little by little. There's so many things that I could talk about. So many things that have been hidden and things that have been actually hidden in plain sight. They may even say it and you don't even realize it, that they're actually advertising and promoting these things. And we're like believing everything that they want us to believe besides the truth. They've been killing us for many years and they continue to do it, whether it's through water, through food, or whatever it is. Well, that's the end of my video, guys. God bless everyone. Stay safe. Always pray, always meditate, and just always be aware. And it's always good to educate yourselves. Thanks again for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe, leave comments, give a thumbs up, thumbs down. I appreciate it. God bless.